Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have Dave Sack, Brian Geary, and Chris Cooper here today conducting a webinar on the new Foster thermal gas connector. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question feature and we will go over all of your questions and comments during the wrap-up section at the end. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to our presenters.
All right, thank you, Courtney. Good afternoon to those east of the Rockies and good morning to those west of the Rockies. Thank you for giving us some of your time today. We hope to make this fun, entertaining, as well as informative. So I'll kick things off with the thermal gas connector. Then Brian Geary will step in for a while to show the product live and highlight some of the features. He'll kick over to talk about the Universal High Flow series. And then Chris Cooper is going to bring it home, giving a little sneak peek to the sanitary offering that'll be coming from Campbell Fittings. So as we go through this, please pay attention. We're going to have a couple of poll questions in here, try to get some dialogue going and get some of the questions forthcoming. So with that, let's go. The agenda, as I mentioned, is to introduce Foster Manufacturing Thermal Gas Connector. Here's a quick picture of what it looks like with the socket, the plug, and the protective covers for each half. We'll go through some product applications as well as show the literature that is currently available. From there, Brian Geary will hit on the Foster Universal High Flow with the European High Flow plugs. Here's what the sockets look like. And then, as I mentioned, Chris given that early sneak peek for Campbell Fittings Sanitary. We're very excited about this product offering and being able to tell you we do have 3A certification. So let's begin the fun with the thermal gas connector. And here we're just showing a quick overview picture of the socket, plug, the protective covers, and the multilingual instruction card. You can purchase this product as a complete set, or you could purchase as an individual socket or plug. This is a manual push to connect product, meaning you will have to retract the sleeve of the socket to insert the plug and then release, and it will be connected. However, there is automatic shut off when the valve disintegrates, and we'll give a little bit more what we mean by valve disintegrating here in a bit. But we have that automatic closure in case there's a fire. So this is a one-way shut-off coupling designed for gas-fired devices or applications. You'll find these in industrial processes, food and beverage, as well as fuel gas systems. The best part is the product does comply with the CSA requirements. And so if you're not familiar with it, we could dive into it a bit more. And if you still have questions, we are readily available at any time to answer. So let's make sure we're all engaged and aware. Let's do a poll.
All right, we've got 3 true or false questions coming at you. Here's the first one.
So
click the little true or false bubbles to submit your response.
So in case anybody's multitasking, I'll read it real quick. The socket of the Thermal Gas Connect series is an automatic push to connect. True or false?
All right, looks like most people voted. We were almost at a tie, but false came in as the lead answer.
Very good. False is the correct answer. It is a manual push to connect.
All right, next, true or false? Poll is open.
All right. So again, if you're multitasking, the Thermal Gas Connect series, TGC, is considered a two-way quick disconnect. True or false?
All right, again, most people voted. I'm going to show the results. 71% say true.
Unfortunately, the answer is false. It is a one-way quick disconnect. So We'll dive into that here in a bit to explain it.
And last true or false question. Poll is open.
All right. In case of fire, the flow of gas will automatically stop. True or false?
All right. Couple more votes to come in.
Nice. I like the rapid fire voting here.
All right, I'm closing this one out. Most people said true.
That is correct. Nice. So we'll show in a picture here in a bit why it is not considered a two-way quick disconnect. And then, as I mentioned, Brian will come on live to show it. So I do appreciate you doing the poll here pretty quick, and we'll keep going. All right. So I mentioned in the beginning how you could purchase. We do have the part numbers available. Let's see if I could find my laser pointer without messing up too much. These would be the part numbers associated with a complete set. So by a complete set, referring to the socket, the plug, a protective cover for each half, as well as the multilingual instruction card. And at this time, we offer in the 3/8 inch body size and the 1/2 inch body size. You can order each individual half. So if there's just interest in the 3/8 plug or the socket, or the same thing for the 1/2 inch plug or the socket. And so the nomenclature TGC for thermal gas connect, 38 for the 3/8 size, 50 for the half size, and then you get into the P or the S for plug or socket, and then you get into the B for the brass. Just a little bit regarding the flow capacity. So for 3/8, you're 50,000 and a 1/2 inch, 95,000 BTU per hour. And then to maintain the CSA certification, this is why we say a 1/2 PSI. And we'll discuss a little bit. You can use the product higher. However, you do not maintain the CSA certification. And we are working on additional sizes to come in the near future. So how it works, here's the thermal gas coupling in the bottom right. We have the socket, and for comparison purposes, at the top right, you'll see a standard ISO-B. So an ISO-B product is not suitable for thermal gas applications. The sockets are similar, but here's the difference in the plug. So let's start top right. The ISO-B plug has a poppet valve, whereas on the thermal gas connect plug, it has this bridge. This bridge will disintegrate, and then you lose the connection with the valve of the socket, and that's how you stop automatic flow of the gas in case of fire. So if I look at this picture in the upper left, you can see I've got a gas line raised off the floor. And it may not be as obvious in the picture, but where I'm here with the laser, they've established a quick disconnect with the yellow line into that gas line. And then they bring it into the commercial oven. So here's where we would have it, if we had a fire, that it would shut off the flow to the commercial ovens. Let me see, remember the next slide. So before we go into the other applications, Brian, can you show what the product physically looks like and highlight these features live with the product?
Yep. So thanks, Dave. So this is the socket and the plug, and you can see it is not an automatic to connect. You have to physically pull the sleeve back to connect the plug together, and you pull the sleeve back to disconnect to pull that apart. If you can see internal, the valving there may look similar to the ISO-B as Dave talked about. In the socket itself, it looks very similar to an ISO-B, but the difference is on the plug. If I can show that, it is non-valved on the plug side with the bridge or the strap that is on the top portion of the plug. That is the part that will disintegrate in the event of a fire. When it's in its actuation mode, that is acting as a valve actuator that pushes on the valve of the socket that allows gas to flow. In the heat, that's what disintegrates. And for the full assembly, when you would order a complete set, you would get the plug, the socket, you would get the dust cover, if you will, and as well as the two labels here that go right on the dust cover.
Beautiful. That's why he's Brian Geary, folks. He gets it right. That's why they don't trust me with it.
I was paying attention to the poll questions.
Thank you, Brian. All right, let's move into some of the applications. Most of these I'm familiar with firsthand, and then we could dive a little bit deeper. So feel free at any time to ask questions on the applications. So the first to share is an industrial fryer. And you can see here with the socket coming up on the hose connection. So they typically use the socket and the plug on all the industrial fryers and ovens for the connection of the gas supply. We highlighted earlier about you do not want to use the standard ISO-B. So it's the CSA certification and a sintered valve that makes it for why it's expected in this application. So keep in mind one particular application of where and how it could be used. Fryers typically have one set, some are up to 3 sets, and they go above and beyond this one. Camping, by far the most popular area that this, well, I take that back now that I stop and think about it. Let's go with the second most popular place that the thermal gas connect or equivalent product is used. So you can see in the top left, the individual's got the gas line for their grill. You can see a bit of a close-up here in the top right. Again, being able to connect for the supply line on the burner. I've seen these used as well for bug zappers, gas lights, heating water. And so I'll age myself with my daughters, but when we did Indian Princess camping trips, a couple of guys had them with their turkey fryers. So there you go. Anything to entertain the girls so they don't burn themselves in the bonfire. Burn in the turkey fryer. So commercial applications, I have seen them used for the heat line of potato chips. I've also seen them used in the heating line for pretzels, as well as bagel chips. So quite a bit in there. This was probably the most interesting that I've seen. I've been in Chrysler and Ford automotive plants, and I've seen them on the gas lines for the drying ovens for the paint on the, let's say, doors or panels of a vehicle. Obviously, the bottom right you saw earlier for a commercial oven, but with the popularity of food trucks, you will see them as well on the lines in the food trucks, except for the dessert food trucks. I haven't seen any there yet. Who knows? Maybe they light their dessert on fire, like the Greeks. Industrial. Environmental chambers. So we have one in the Foster manufacturing plant. I've seen in other plants where they need to rapidly increase the temperature. So they typically have a gas line. Glass making. So I live in the Cleveland, Ohio area, about an hour and a half away from Libby Glass in the Toledo, Ohio area. And so they have these gas QDs on their lines for when they take the billet of glass and they start to shape it into the different style of drinking glasses. I came from Western Enterprises, so I'm familiar with the weed burner. It's called a weed burner when it's held by hand. And so up here where the hand is would be a quick disconnect. Most likely they would use it where it's with the portable propane tank, and this could be for burning weeds or taking scrapings off, painting off of asphalt, or maybe you see them with roofing applications. The difference for farmers is, and it gets called the crop weed burner, is when there is no human contact involved. And so you can see here with the propane tank that I'm highlighting with the laser pointer, they might have the QD here and then supply or have it come out of these different nozzles for when they're burning weeds on the farmer. I've been in quite a few of the Midwest states. I will tell you, I've seen farmers hang out the window of their pickup truck as they go down along their fence row, and they'll do this to burn the weeds. It's also interesting, they do that while they have a cigarette in their mouth. So just, who's out for the Darwin Award this year? And flamethrowers, they are on there, even the homemade ones. Interesting enough, you do an internet search for a homemade flamethrower, they will recommend in the directions that you have a gas QD. All right, let's bring it to the home use. So this is kind of funny. We've been through a couple rehearsals, and I just never been able to get this picture right. So maybe I could do it a little bit better here during the presentation. What you're seeing is the underside of a hot tub. And off here to the right, in front of the tire, is the plug. So this tire has absolutely nothing to do with the application other than it's moving the hot tub to put in place. But at a house, you would have your gas line coming out of the house. You'd have your quarter turn valve, you'd have the socket, and then this hose with the plug would connect, and that would supply your gas for heating your hot tub. And then when I've been up in the New England area, I've seen a couple of places that manufacture luxury yachts, and they have the built-in tubs, fireplaces, and other things. They would also use the QD in those applications. This is why I corrected myself earlier. If you look to the right, the most popular use of this product is at home for barbecues. If not barbecues, then for gas lights. So if you're in Tennessee or the Nashville area, all the new subdivisions going in, the selling point or a feature that they like to use for the homes is that they have natural gas lights out front. Whereas again, living in Cleveland, Ohio, I just flip a switch for the electrical lamp post. But again, you could tie it in for your bug zappers and barbecue grills and other entertainment. Okay, so we do have this flyer readily available. It'll highlight that it is a one-way shut-off safety coupling, where it's used for, some of the features that we hit on earlier, as well as the current available sizes. CSA stands for Canadian Standards Association. They're the ones that will give the certification and say it's safe for use up to half a PSI or less. I'm aware of people who have used this product at 7, 9, even as high as 20 PSI. It can be done, but it just does not maintain the CSA certification. And the good news, maybe even why you're here today, by attending this webinar from beginning to end, on your first order, you get to receive 10% off. You will use the promo code, and it's available for any of the items, whether it be a complete set or the individual halves. You use it online, and it's one code per company that's available. No limit on quantity as well. That's probably given a few folks in Foster Manufacturing a heart attack that I say no limit on quantity. All right, let's do it as a poll to talk about how it works with competitor product. Oh, wait a minute, sorry, Courtney. Yes, I'm sorry.
few questions for you guys. So here is the first one.
So if you're,
Will the 3/8 inch body size interchange with all known competitors' products? Yes, no, or some Eaton Hansen gasmate plugs may pose a problem. All right, only some of you have voted. Let's get some more attendees in here.
they probably left the room after me yapping for so long, or said, oh my gosh, corny jokes, I can't bear it, and they left.
All right, we'll give it a few more seconds. All right, I'm going to close this one out, and the results are up.
All right. So good audience here. The 3/8 size. This is a bit interesting. So I specifically pulled out the Eaton Hansen 3/8 plug. During its time in existence, they have changed the dimension for the length of the plug nose profile, as well as the outside diameter of what I'm going to call the bump that aids the locking of the, or I'm sorry, aids the retaining of the locking balls. So there is, and again, I don't know the dates of their production, but there is a stretch of which their plug will not fit in our socket. Or to be even more direct, if you jam it into our socket, it will connect, but you will never be able to disconnect. It will still function properly, but it's a one-time use. Otherwise, the 3/8 will work with the Parker Snap-Tite product, the MB Sturgis product, the Fairview Fittings product, and a couple other miscellaneous imports that we've seen come in. Well done. One more.
All right, last poll of the day is going up now. Will the 1/2 inch body size interchange with all known competitors' products? Again, yes, no, or some Eaton Hansen gasmate sockets may pose a problem. So far, all the votes coming in are leaning towards one answer.
So,
All right, I'll give you guys a couple more seconds and I'll close it out. Okay, shutting it down, and the results are in.
oh, very good. The answer is yes. I thought I might be able to pull a trick one in there after the 3/8. So yes, the 1/2 inch product will interchange with everything out there, whether it be Parker Snap-Tite, Eaton Hansen Gasmate, Fairview Fittings, or others. We are not aware of any interchangeability issues with the 1/2 inch size. And just a word of caution that when you intermix manufacturer's product, the overall system or setup is rated at the lowest component. All right, well done. So with that, here, how about that? I remembered it. I did my Warning Will Robinson. So let's see if you're dating yourself as old as I am in your early to mid 50s. Maybe you remember the robot waving his slinky arms up and down. So again, when interchanging manufacturer's product, remember you rate to the lowest component. All right, to you, Mr. Bryan.
Very good. Thanks, Dave. Good stuff. This is a bit of a refresh from last year. We had introduced the universal high flow socket as well as the European high flow plugs that are being manufactured at Foster. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to give you a refresh and make you aware if you forgot about it, or introduce it to you if this is the first time you're seeing it. So the universal will accept 4 different interchanges. So if we jump to the next slide there, Dave, we'll talk about that. The universal high flow comes in two designs. It'll come with a male or female thread on it, but either one will accept all 4 interchanges. And the reason why we designed this was based off of VOC, or voice of customer. And the feedback that we got in the field was there was a need for a pneumatic socket that would accept not only industrial, TrueFlate, and Arrow, which ourselves and other manufacturers have a universal that does that, but also would accept the European high flow. So that's something unique to this this coupling, this socket, that it accepts all 4 interchanges. So it has similar dimensions to the Eaton Hansen AutoFlow 24 series, if you're familiar with that series out of Eaton. And the engineering design the products to meet those above specifications. So this is a direct result of coming out of the voice of the customer. Foster is the first to market for the universal pneumatic socket that accepts the plugs from the European and the USA. So the universal high flow in the European, you can see the part numbers there. It's coming in 1/4 inch and 3/8, and you have the hex size and the overall lengths. The valve design on the socket is really where we're setting ourselves apart. We have an increased flow going through the socket of 20%. So the plugs themselves on the industrial, Arrow, TrueFlate, in the European, nothing has changed. That's all dimensionally the same as what of our competitors have, but the valve on the socket is where we've made that improvement, and 20% greater flow is what we've achieved when we've changed from a standard spade type valve in a 1/4 inch product that you'd see in a standard pneumatic coupling. It is manufactured, Foster's version of the European plugs are made domestically. And there's a cost savings by using this, and that's the value add that you can use selling to your customers. One plug is universal to really the 4 most common types of plugs that you would see out there. So using one socket is going to be common to all 4 of those plugs. So why should you buy? Automatic push to connect. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate that here. I have a square adapter block that has all 4 of the different designs on it. And I have the socket here, and this is the European. No need to pull back that sleeve. It's an automatic to connect just by pushing forward. One socket will connect to multiple plugs, provides a cost savings. You only have to buy and stock one part number for your customers. You only have to keep one on the shelf. So to demonstrate that here, there's the European, the industrial, the Arrow, and the TrueFlate. All 4 will connect. If you require the highest possible flow you can get out of a 1/4 inch or 3/8, this is the superior performance. And one of the areas where we've seen success on this is maybe pneumatic tools or situations where an air tool is starved or needs a higher volume coming through. This additional 20% airflow can make a difference. In addition, if there's a workstation or a cell that's at the end of the airline in a shop or at the far end of where the compressor is at, traditionally the tools may be starved for air there, or late in the day when they're running another piece of equipment, the farthest run is starved for air. Simply changing out the coupling could get them additional flow that could solve their problem. So it could be a quick fix there as well. And made in the USA, made to our high quality standards with Foster from the name that you know and trust. And with that, I'll hand it over to Chris to talk about a sneak peek to our Campbell fittings.
All right. Hey, thanks, Brian. Well, I hope everybody is getting something from the webinar. And just to let you know, I am the product manager for the sanitary line expansion at Campbell Fittings. And so Campbell Fittings obviously is part of the Ideal Trident Group. And we're quite proud to announce that, and you're the first to see it, our expanded 3A certified tri-clamp sanitary line. As many of you know, Campbell's had success for about 5 years for the Crimpnology tri-clamp fitting. And we were unsure that the 3A certification was necessary, but many of our distributors were applying to get certified for the 3A 6202 hose assembly. And we were asked to get our parts certified so they could be used within those assemblies. And we did. So we are fully certified. Our engineers worked very closely with 3A to make sure our products met the stringent requirements in order to receive the coveted 3A RPS-CQC designation. Now that means the RPS-CQC stands for Replacement Part System Component Qualification Certificate. It's a mouthful, but the 3A RPS-CQC means that you can use Campbell Fittings tri-clamp parts in all of your 3A 6202 certified hose assemblies for dairy, food, beverage processing, or wherever 6202 3A certified hose assemblies are required. You can also use the Campbell Crimpnology system to put together standard non-3A food, beer, wine, juice, other process hoses, and that could be done with the machine ferrule or with the standard ferrule for the assembly process. So we have 2 different crimp specs for that, and it's a very versatile system. And by doing that, you can be confident that whether you're 3A certified hose or non-3A certified hose, you are using the highest quality tri-clamp fitting in the industry. So let's take a quick look at the lineup. And you know, this is a little bit hard to see on this sheet, but this is the enhanced product offering. And you'll notice at the top left, that actually is the 3A tri-clamp crimp hose fitting. So that is the big boy of the tri-clamp fitting world for the 6202 hoses. That is a fully machined product that accepts both the sanitary ferrule and the standard ferrule in the crimp process. It's available from 1 inch through 4 inch, and we also have the reducer from 1.5 inch to a 1 inch hose size. If we go down the sheet, you'll see the next part down is actually a 3A long shank brewery hose adapter. So that's quite a popular item for obviously for breweries. It's got a long shank on it. It is 3A certified. You can use this with bands. Obviously, if you use it with bands, the hose assembly is now 3A certified, but a lot of breweries don't require that 3A hose certification, so they use it with bands. And that's available 1, 1.5, 2, 3, and 4 inch. And if we continue over to the right-hand side, obviously up top there's the 304 sanitary machine ferrule, and that's for use with the tri-clamp system for the 6202 assemblies. And those ferrules are 3A certified. So they will, all these products where they're 3A certified will carry the 3A logo etched into it. Now below that is the 3A rubber hose adapter. And again, that's 3A certified. It is a relatively short shank, and it's available in hose sizes from 1/2 inch to 4 inch and various different tri-clamp sizes on it. So there's a lot of adapter looking products. You can see that small one in the bottom picture right to the left of that chart, and that's a 1/2 inch hose size to a 1 or 1.5 inch actual tri-clamp size. Now, if we move down to the next 2 blocks below that, you have on the left, the tri-clamp by male NPT, and on the right, the tri-clamp by female NPT. So these do not carry the 3A logo simply because they're threaded. And anything that can't be cleaned in place cannot carry the 3A logo. So since there are threads involved, this is not eligible for 3A certification. But that still means that the polish on it meets the 32 RA requirement for bacterial for antibacterial growth. So there's not a lot of scratches, and the surface is very highly polished. And those are available from 1 inch or from 3/4 inch NPT all the way up to 4 inch. And the TC size varies on those from 1 inch to 4 inch as well. So there are a couple of different jump sizes in there. Then if we go down to the bottom of the fittings page, we're back to 3A certification on tri-clamp weld short and tri-clamp weld long. And these are used primarily as weld fittings in the process plant for tubing. And these are available from 1/2 inch through 4 inch. So if we go to the next page, and this is actually a sales PDF that will be available, 2-page sales PDF that'll be available shortly, and it lists conveniently all the products within the line. So on this page, we have tri-clamps, and we have 4 different clamps. And I know it's hard to see, but I'll just explain them to you. We have a heavy-duty single-pin tri-clamp at the top left. Self-explanatory, but from 1/2 to 4 inch. And then to the right, we have a heavy-duty high-pressure bolt clamp. So that's more of a permanent fixture that you would bolt on if you were operating higher pressure on your tri-clamp fitting connection. And then underneath that, we have the heavy-duty double-pin tri-clamp. So that's there's a double pin in that particular clamp because it evens out the pressure applied to the tri-clamp. So it does, and when I say the pressure, meaning the pressure of the clamp itself. So it gives it a more even pressure, and it therefore goes to a slightly higher pressure than the single pin. And that's available from 1 inch to 4 inch. And then if we go to the left of that, we have the easy install squeeze tri-clamp. So I don't know if anybody out there has used the tri-clamps. You will know that it requires 2 hands. You've got to put the gasket in between the 2 halves, and then wrap the clamp around the application area of the clamp, and then flip up the toggle bolt, and then tighten it. So this, as a squeeze clamp, is kind of like a clothespin. So you can hold the hoses together with 1 hand and just clothespin the clamp around to get it started, and then use that same hand to flip up the toggle bolt and tighten it. So it's a very convenient 1-hand application clamp. And then below that, you've got gaskets. Gaskets are available in Buna-N black, all from 1 to 4 inch. Buna-N black, EPDM black, FKM black, which is Viton essentially, Buna-N white, PTFE or Teflon white, and silicone white. So it is a complete line of tri-clamp parts and pieces that you would need for any of your applications. And so next slide, Dave, if we could. And that one just goes to the fact that the expected delivery is the anticipated first delivery is May 31st for all these products. And Campbell will continue to enhance the tri-clamp line with smaller mini versions in the very near future, as well as we're developing bevel seat and DIN fittings to round out the sanitary line as well. So thanks for letting me give you that little snapshot of the tri-clamp line, and I'll pass it back to Dave for the wrap up. Thanks, Dave.
All right, very nice. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate everybody participating in that part of the webinar. So, Courtney, are there any questions from the audience?
And we have one question that came in, so I'll read that one. And if anyone has any questions in the meantime, you can type it right into the chat box or the question box in the webinar panel. So We'll start it off with, can you use the thermal gas coupling out of a standard 20-pound propane tank?
So standard 20-pound propane tank. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, so you can, Dave, but keep in mind the coupling is only rated for a half PSI for the CSA marking that's on it. So you would not retain the certification from CSA, but the design is really based on the ISO B, even though it is not an ISO B, it's designed on the ISO B and it can handle higher pressure. So yes, you can use it on a propane tank. You just would not maintain the CSA rating.
There you go. Agree.
That was it.
Okay. I'd have to agree with Brian because I did mention the weed burner earlier, so that'd be pretty bad to backtrack. That's it? Wow, I don't know if take that as a compliment or if people fell asleep. Either way. But you know our phone numbers, you know our email addresses, so feel free to reach out at any time. With that, we're a wrap. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully, wherever you live, there is no snow on the ground for you. I'm done with it. I woke up this morning feeling a little bit angry and depressed seeing snow on the ground in Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good afternoon.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.